I found lubricant and men's pills in my husband's gym bag. I didn't argue. I swapped them with brilliant green mixed with pepper spray. He and my sister came home covered in green after their family visit. But the worst part was still to come. Hello everyone. Thank you for being here with me today. Before I begin my story, I'd love to know which city you're joining us from. Please feel free to share in the comments. Now, let me take you into this story. You think you know a person. You think you've built a life. A real, solid, predictable life. You think you know your own family, the people you share blood with. And then one Tuesday, you're just trying to do a load of laundry, and you find out your entire world is built on a lie. It's funny, the things that stick with you. The details. It was a Tuesday morning, 9:15 a.m. I remember because I always do the deep cleaning on Tuesdays. I'm Brenda, by the way. I'm 52 years old, or I was at the time. I live in a little town in Ohio where everyone knows everyone's business, which becomes important later. You know the kind of town. We still have a main street. We still have a parade on the 4th of July. I'm a pharmacist. Not just at the local CVS, though I did my time there. For the last 10 years, I've been a compounding pharmacist. I own my own small shop, Main Street Compounding. It's quiet. People come to me when the big box drugs don't work. When their kid is allergic to the red dye in an antibiotic, or when a patient needs a specific dose that a factory doesn't make. I make things. Custom formulas, special dosages. My hands are steady. My measurements are precise. Methodical. That's the word people use for me. Predictable Brenda. I label my leftovers. My spice rack is alphabetized. I balance my checkbook, by hand, on the 1st of every month. I like order. I find comfort in it. My husband, Mark, he was the opposite. Or so I thought. He was the fun one. The guy who told the jokes at parties, the one who always wanted to go out. He worked in insurance, a big regional manager. Always on the road, always at a conference. We'd been married 22 years. A long time. A good, solid, predictable time. I thought. So, this Tuesday, I'm gathering the laundry from the mudroom. I'm smelling coffee from the pot I just brewed. It's a normal day. The sun is coming through the window over the sink. Mark's gym bag is on the floor, right where he'd left it. It was a nice bag, a black Tumi, one I'd bought him for his 50th birthday. It cost a fortune. But it smelled. That sour, I forgot about my damp towel for 3 days smell. I figured I'd be a good wife. I'd wash his gym clothes, and the bag itself probably needed a cycle. I unzipped the main compartment. Pulled out the damp towel, his running shoes, a pair of shorts I didn't recognize. They weren't his usual gray ones. They were flashier. Black with a red stripe. I didn't think anything of it. And then I saw it. A little side pocket, one he always kept zipped. For my keys and wallet, Bren, he'd say. Keeps them separate. I'm not a snooper. I want to be very clear about that. I have never, in 22 years, gone through his things. I trusted him. Or maybe, and this is harder to admit, maybe I just never had a reason to look. I was comfortable in my predictable world. But the zipper, it wasn't closed all the way. It was just open. A tiny crack. And I saw something black and shiny inside. I don't know why I did it. Maybe it was the shorts. Maybe it was just a feeling. A cold spot in the middle of a sunny kitchen. My fingers went to the zipper, and I pulled it open. Inside, there was a bottle of premium personal lubricant. The expensive kind, with the sleek, modern, silver bottle. The kind you don't buy at the drugstore, the kind you have to order online. Next to it, a box of condoms. The non-latex, bearskin kind. The expensive ones. I stood there, in my mudroom, the smell of coffee in the air, the washing machine humming behind me, holding this evidence. And my first thought wasn't, who is she? My first thought, the pharmacist in me, was, I'm not allergic to latex. But I am allergic to non-oxynol 9. The spermicide on most other kinds. It gives me a terrible rash. We'd had this conversation, Mark and I, years ago. It was a whole thing. He made a big deal about it, finding the one kind I could use. Only the best for you, Bren, he'd said. These condoms, they weren't for me. That lubricant, it wasn't for me. My knees felt weak. I had to lean against the wall. Most women would have thrown them. Most women would have cried, or screamed, or maybe driven to his office and made a scene. I didn't. My hands were perfectly steady. I picked up the bottle of lubricant. I turned it over in my hand. It was barely used. I read the ingredients. I checked the expiration date. It was a habit. I felt something cold and calculating settle in my chest, right where the panic and the heartbreak should have been. It felt heavy. Like a block of ice. I put the bottle back. I put the box of condoms back. I zipped the pocket, slowly. I put the Tumi gym bag on the counter. I finished sorting the whites and the darks. I started the load of laundry. The evidence could wait. First, I had to finish my chores. I sat at the kitchen table for a long time, just staring at the washing machine. The hum of the spin cycle was the only sound. Who was she? A woman from his office? That new assistant he was always talking about? Someone from the gym? My mind was racing, trying to put pieces together that weren't there. Then I saw his iPad on the counter, plugged into charge. Mark always called me his IT department. He wasn't good with technology. Bren, the iPad's slow again. Bren, how do I clear the storage? Bren, can you update my apps? I knew his password. Of course I did. I had set it up for him. 1-2-3-4, he was so predictable. My hands were shaking, just a little, as I picked it up. This felt different. This felt like a violation. But then I thought about the bottle in his bag. I thought about the condoms. My guilt vanished. I opened his iMessage. The little green bubbles. I scrolled. Nothing. A thread with his boss. A fantasy football group chat, full of stupid jokes. A thread with me, with heart emojis. It made me sick. And then, a thread with my sister. My little sister, Janine. My blood ran cold. No. No, it couldn't be. Not Janine. Janine. 38 years old, perpetually finding herself. She was the baby of the family. The pretty one, the one who could charm her way out of any trouble. I wasn't just her big sister. I was the one who paid for her first car when hers died on the highway. I co-signed on her first apartment when she couldn't pass the credit check. When she got laid off last year, she'd come to me, crying. Bren, I can't make rent. I'm going to be evicted. I'd given her the money. $5,000. It was from the inheritance our grandmother had left us. We were supposed to split it, but I'd been fine, my pharmacy was doing well. I'd given Janine my half. Just until you get on my feet, big sis, she'd said. You're a lifesaver. I opened the thread. I told myself it was nothing. I was just being paranoid. At first, it was normal. Hi. How's Bren? Tell Mark I said hi. Are you guys coming for Easter? But I scrolled back. Weeks. Months. The tone started to change. The messages got sent later at night. Can't wait for our trip. Heard from the boss today? The boss. That was me. That was their little nickname for me. And then I saw the emojis. A winking face. A chili pepper. A little drop of water. And then, a text from Mark, sent just 2 nights ago, while I was asleep in our bed, right next to him. She's so predictable. She'll never know. And Janine's reply, I know. It's what makes it so fun. The coffee cup I was holding slipped from my hand. It shattered on the tile floor. Hot coffee splashed all over the counter, all over my hands. I didn't even feel the burn. I felt sick. Physically ill. This wasn't a stranger. This wasn't some random woman. This was Janine. My sister. My blood. The little girl I had taught to ride a bike. The woman I had held while she cried over a breakup last year. The 2 people I loved and trusted most in the world. They weren't just betraying me. They were laughing at me. Together. And then I saw it. The most recent message. From Janine, just this morning. Tickets booked for my college reunion trip. Same weekend as your conference. It's perfect. I grabbed a paper towel, my hand shaking now, but not with sadness. It was rage. A cold, pure, pharmaceutical-grade rage. I wiped up the coffee. I swept up the broken mug. Oh, it's perfect, all right, I whispered to the empty kitchen. I went to work the next day. I had to. I couldn't just fall apart. I had prescriptions to fill. Patients to counsel. The drive to the pharmacy was automatic. I don't remember it. I just ended up in my parking spot. I unlocked the door. I flipped the open sign. Mrs. Gable came in for her blood pressure medication. Brenda, you look a little pale, honey. Are you all right? Just fine, Mrs. Gable, I said, forcing a smile. Just a long night. Here's your lisinopril. Have a wonderful day. Mr. Henderson complained about his insurance copay. He's complained about it every month for 5 years. I listened. I nodded. I know, it's frustrating. Let me see if there's a coupon. All day, I was a robot. A smiling, helpful, predictable pharmacist. And all day, all I could think about was that text. Predictable. As soon as my shift ended, at 5:01 p.m., I locked the front door. I pulled down the shades. I walked to the back, to the compounding station. My station. My sanctuary. It's a clean room, all stainless steel and glass. Beakers, scales, spatulas. My tools. I thought about what to do. I could just put red food coloring in the lubricant. Stain them. But that felt amateur. They mocked me. They called me boring. They deserved more than a stain. They deserved memories. I went to the supply cabinet. I'm a professional. I know my chemicals. I know my regulations. I pulled out a bottle of brilliant green dye. It's a medical-grade antiseptic. It's potent. We use it sometimes for fungal infections in very, very small, diluted amounts. It also has the unfortunate side effect of staining skin. And not just for a day or 2. It bonds to the skin cells. It doesn't wash off. It has to wear off, as your skin naturally exfoliates. It could take weeks. A beautiful, vibrant, alien green. But a stain wasn't enough. They called me predictable. I wanted spice. I went to the locked chemical cabinet. Capsaicin. Pure, unadulterated, pharmaceutical grade. The active ingredient in pepper spray. I'm not a monster. I knew the dosage. I wouldn't use enough to cause permanent, lasting damage. The lawyers, I was already thinking about the divorce, the lawyers would call that assault. But I would use enough to create a 4-alarm fire. A level of discomfort that would be impossible to ignore. A sensation that would make them think they had been doused in liquid fire. I put on my lab coat. I put on my nitrile gloves. I felt like a scientist, finally getting to the good part of an experiment. I pulled out a sterile glass beaker. I got my digital scale, the one that measures to 1,000th of a gram. I measured the capsaicin powder. The dust was so fine, I had to be careful not to inhale. I measured the brilliant green dye. Then, I added just enough of a neutral, water-based gel, a hydroxyethyl cellulose base, to be exact, to match the viscosity. I had to get the consistency right. I couldn't have it being watery. It had to look and feel just like the real thing. I mixed it with a glass rod. The final product was beautiful. A shimmering, pearlescent, innocent-looking gel. A gel from hell. Oh, and the condoms? I didn't forget them. I went to the sharps container. I took a microfine needle, the kind used for insulin. 31 gauge. Almost invisible to the naked eye. Just one, tiny, almost invisible hole. Right in the tip of each and every one. Maximum unreliability, I muttered to myself. I almost giggled. It was the first time I'd felt a spark of joy in 24 hours. I cleaned my station. I sterilized every beaker, every rod. I put the chemicals back. I left no trace. I was, after all, predictable. That night was Wednesday. Their trip was on Friday. Mark was home. He was in a good mood. Too good. He was humming. Humming. While he was in the kitchen, making a sandwich, I watched him from the hallway. He was checking his phone, smiling. Probably texting her. My sister. Excited for the conference, honey? I asked, walking in. My voice was sweet, level. I impressed myself. Oh, hey, Bren, he said, not even looking up. Yeah. It's a big one. The whole regional team will be there. Sounds important, I said, leaning against the counter. It is. Big presentation. Could lead to a better promotion. He was lying. Lying right to my face. That night, he started packing. He pulled out his suitcase. He pulled out the Tumi gym bag. Gonna hit the hotel gym, he announced, as if I cared. Gotta stay in shape. He went to take a shower. I heard the water running. The rumble of the pipes. My heart was pounding. Not from fear. Not from guilt. From anticipation. I grabbed the gym bag. I didn't go to our master bath. I went to the guest bathroom, down the hall. I had my kit ready, hidden under the sink in an old shoebox, a new, sterile 20 cubic centimeters syringe with a wide-gauge needle, my little glass jar of hell gel, and the box of punctured condoms I'd brought home from the pharmacy. I locked the door. I unzipped the side pocket. My hands were shaking a little now. I pulled out the lube. I was a professional. I carefully unscrewed the cap. I drew my new formula into the syringe. The gel was thick. I injected it into the bottle. It was a perfect, seamless fill. I screwed the cap back on, wiped the bottle clean with an alcohol swab. Not a single trace. Then, the condoms. I opened his box. I opened the identical box I'd bought. I swapped them. The tampered ones went into his box. The new, untouched ones went into mine, which I'd throw away later. The water stopped. I heard the shower door slide open in the other bathroom. I shoved everything back into the gym bag, zipped the pocket, shoved the syringe and my jar back in the shoebox, hid it under the sink, flushed the toilet to cover my exit, and unlocked the door. I walked out of the guest bath just as he was coming out of ours, a towel wrapped around his waist. He was still humming. "Hey," he said, smiling at me. "All clean. All set for your big conference?" I asked, leaning against the doorframe, trying to look casual. "Yep. Going to be a long weekend. Lots of presentations," he lied again. He kissed my forehead. His lips were wet. It made my skin crawl. "Don't wait up for me on Sunday, okay? I'll probably be exhausted." "Oh," I said, patting his arm. "I'm sure you will be. You get some rest." I had to be sure. I couldn't just trust that they were stupid. I had to know. I had to see. The next day, Thursday, I called in sick to the pharmacy. "Stomach bug," I said. My stomach was, indeed, churning, but not with illness. I drove to the electronics store in the next town over, where no one would recognize me. "I'd like a GPS tracker," I said to the kid at the counter. "A simple one. For my dog. He keeps running off." Okay, lady," he said. I bought a simple, prepaid, magnetic tracker. The kind you can just stick under a car seat. I paid in cash. While Mark was at work, I walked out to the driveway. I looked up and down the street. No one. I knelt down. I stuck it right under the passenger seat of his sedan. It clicked into place, hidden by the metal. Modern technology is a beautiful thing when you know how to use it. Friday morning came. He packed his bag in the car. He came back in. He kissed me goodbye. "The Marriott is supposed to be nice. I'll bring you back one of those little soaps," he joked. "You're all heart," I said, smiling. I waved as he backed out of the driveway. I waved until he was out of sight. An hour later, my phone buzzed. A text from Janine. "Hey big sis. Off to see my old roommate in Cleveland. Wish me luck. Love you." It included a picture of her in her car, smiling, sunglasses on, the sun shining. "Have fun. Be safe." I texted back. "Love you too." The words tasted like ash. I spent the day cleaning. I was a woman possessed. I scrubbed the grout in the bathroom with a toothbrush. I reorganized the pantry. I alphabetized the cans of soup. It was the only thing that kept me from screaming. At 3 p.m., my laptop pinged. The GPS tracker. His car had stopped. I had the tracker feed open on one screen and the Marriott's website on the other. The conference was at the downtown Marriott, a beautiful, 4-star hotel. But the little dot on my screen wasn't at the Marriott. It was 20 miles outside the city, at a Hampton Suites off I-71. The kind of place with peeling paint, a continental breakfast that's just stale muffins, and weekly rates. I waited an hour. I let them get settled. I let them check in. I let them get comfortable. Then I picked up my phone and called him. "Hey, honey. How's the conference?" I chirped, my voice full of sunshine. "Oh, hey, Bren." He sounded distracted. It's a lot. Just checked in. The room is great. Really nice view. Oh, wonderful. The Marriott, right? Is it as fancy as it looks online? Yeah, top notch. Best in the city. I could hear the smile in his voice. The liar. Listen, I've got to run, the keynote is starting any minute. I'll call you later. Love you. Love you too, Mark. Have a great time. I hung up. I looked at the GPS dot. Hampton Suites, room 214, according to the tracker's precision. I looked up their website. The view was of the parking lot and a Waffle House. The magnificent, stupid, arrogant liar. I couldn't just sit there. I couldn't. I had to see. I had to see it with my own eyes. I got in my car. I told myself I was just going for a drive. I ended up on I-71. I drove the 40 miles. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just listened to a true crime podcast. It felt appropriate. I pulled into the parking lot of the Waffle House across the street. It had a perfect view of the motel. I parked in the back, behind a landscaping truck. I had a thermos of coffee, which was now cold. I had a pair of binoculars I'd bought years ago for birdwatching. Turns out, I was birdwatching. 2 specific, filthy birds. I waited. An hour. 2 hours. My coffee was gone. My neck was stiff. I ate a stale granola bar I found in my glove box. I felt like a private investigator in a bad movie. And then, the door to room 214 opened. Out walked Mark. He was wearing the new blue polo shirt I had just bought him for his birthday. He was laughing. And then, out walked Janine. My sister. She was wearing a yellow sundress. I recognized it. It was one I'd pointed out at the mall last month. I'd said it was pretty. She'd told me it was too young for her. She'd used my inheritance money to buy a dress to wear while she slept with my husband. She wrapped her arms around his neck, and they kissed. Right there on the balcony. For the whole world, and me, to see. It wasn't a peck. It was a long, slow, movie star kiss. My hand was shaking. I raised the binoculars. I could see the lipstick on his collar. I could see the way he put his hand on the small of her back, possessively. They looked happy. Giddy. Like teenagers, sneaking around. They got into his car. Not hers. His. They drove across the street. Oh, God. They were coming here. I shrunk down in my seat. I threw my jacket over my head. My heart was trying to beat its way out of my chest. They walked right past my car. They went inside, sat in a booth by the window. I couldn't leave. I was trapped. I watched them through the binoculars. I watched them order. They were sharing a plate of hash browns. Laughing. His hand was on hers, on the table. He ordered her hash browns scattered, smothered, and covered. His favorite. The way I always ordered them for him. My husband. And my sister. I sat there until they finished. Until they paid their bill, walked back across the street, his arm draped around her shoulder. Until they went back into room 214 and the light went out. I didn't feel sadness. I didn't feel jealousy. I just felt resolve. A cold, hard, righteous anger. I started the car and drove home. I spent all day Saturday in a fog. I had to get out of the house. I couldn't just sit and wait. I went to the grocery store. I walked up and down every aisle, even though I didn't need anything. I bought a tub of ice cream. I went to the hardware store. I bought a new shower curtain, even though I didn't need one. I bought a new set of light bulbs. I just needed to do something normal. All day, my phone was silent. No how's the conference text from Mark. No wish you were here call from Janine. They were in their own little world. That evening, I couldn't stand it. The house was too quiet. The silence was deafening. I felt like I was going crazy. I got back in my car. I drove the 40 miles back to that Hampton Suites. I walked right into the lobby. A bored-looking kid, no older than 20, was reading a comic book at the front desk. "Hi," I said, forcing a smile. This is going to sound like a weird request. But my husband is in room 214, and I'm trying to surprise him. I'm his colleague. I'm supposed to meet him. Can I get the room right next to it, or maybe below it? I want to make sure he's settled. The kid shrugged. He didn't even look up. Weird. 114 is open. It's right below it. That'll be $65. Perfect. I paid in cash. Room 114 was awful. It smelled like stale cigarettes and bleach. The carpet was sticky. The art on the wall was a faded picture of a sailboat. I didn't care. I locked the door. I turned off the lights. I sat on the bed. I put a glass to the ceiling, like you see in movies. It didn't work. Just a faint rumble. The walls were thin, but not that thin. I went to the bathroom. I saw the ventilation grate in the ceiling. The ductwork. I took out my audio recorder. The little digital one I used for lectures at pharmacy conventions. I turned the gain all the way up, wrapped a towel around it, and wedged it up against the grate. And I listened. At first, just the TV. A basketball game. Muffled cheering. Then, laughter. Her laugh. That high-pitched, tinkling giggle she does when she thinks she's being charming. And his laugh. That deep rumble that I used to love. I sat there in the dark, on the lid of the toilet, in that disgusting, sticky-floored room, for hours. Why was I doing this to myself? I don't know. I needed to hear it. I needed the anger to burn away any last, stupid, lingering piece of love I had for either of them. I needed the justification. The basketball game on their TV must have ended. The cheering stopped. The room went quiet. And then, I heard them talking. Their voices, clear as day, coming through the vent. Janine's voice. "Are you sure she doesn't know?" "Brenda's smart, Mark. She notices everything." Mark's voice. He laughed. "Nah. She's smart about her pills and her spreadsheets. But about life? She's predictable. She's too busy organizing her spice rack to notice what's right in front of her. She's more like a mother. Not a wife. A mother." He called me a mother. We didn't even have kids. He meant I was sexless. Boring. Janine giggled. "I know. She's always been like that, even when we were kids. So uptight. Remember that time she grounded me for a week just for smoking a cigarette behind the garage?" "She grounded you?" Mark was laughing. "Totally. Like she was Mom. That's why I need this. You're my escape, Mark. She's not exciting like you are. You're spontaneous. You're fun. Well, you're not so bad yourself, Miss Reunion. Then they started mocking me. Openly. Laughing about the way I label my leftovers in the fridge. About the sensible sedan I drive. About my boring job at the pharmacy. Every word was a needle. Every laugh was a twist of the knife. And then, the final blow. "I just feel bad about the money," Janine said. Her voice changed. A little. "What money?" Mark asked. You know. Using her half of the inheritance from Grandma. The money she gave me for my rent last month. I kind of used it to buy this dress. And, supplies. My inheritance money. From my grandmother. The money I had given her, no questions asked, because she was my sister and she was struggling. Mark just chuckled. Don't. She's got plenty. And besides, she offered. What she doesn't know won't hurt her. I clicked stop on the recorder. That was it. That was the last piece. They weren't just betraying me, they were stealing from me. They were using my own grandmother's money to fund their affair, to buy the very lubricant that was, at that very moment, waiting for them in that gym bag. I packed up my recorder. I walked out of the room, left the key on the sticky nightstand. I didn't look back at room 214. I didn't need to. I drove home, and the rage was so cold, so pure, it felt like peace. Sunday. The day they were due back. Mark was scheduled to come home in the evening. Janine was driving back from Cleveland. I woke up. I made coffee. I read the Sunday paper, cover to cover. I did the crossword puzzle. I went online and paid some bills. I checked our joint account. And there it was. A charge from the Hampton Suites. 2 nights. $130. He hadn't even tried to use a different card. He just assumed I wouldn't check. The arrogance. My mother called. Hi, sweetie. Just checking in. Did you hear from Janine? Is she having fun on her trip? Yes, Mom, I said, my voice perfectly calm, perfectly normal. I'm sure she's having the time of her life. Good, good. She deserves some fun. And Mark? How's his conference? Oh, I said, looking out the kitchen window. Full of surprises, I'm sure. Well, you tell him I said hi. Love you, sweetie. Love you too, Mom. I hung up. My hand was shaking so hard I had to set the phone down. The nerve. The sheer, unmitigated nerve of both of them. I spent the rest of the afternoon making dinner. I made a pot roast. Mark's favorite. With carrots and potatoes. The smell filled the house. It was our Sunday smell. And it just made me feel hollow. I set the table. 2 plates. 2 forks. 2 knives. I sat on the sofa in the living room and turned on the TV. I wasn't watching it. I was just waiting. The clock ticked. 6 p.m. 7 p.m. He should have been home by now. The pot roast was getting cold. My phone was silent. I put the pot roast in the fridge. I cleaned the kitchen. 8 p.m. 9 p.m. I was starting to get worried. Not for him. For the plan. Did they decide to stay an extra night? Did they not use it? Did they see the color? Did they smell it? No. I'd been careful. The dye was odorless. The capsaicin, in that concentration, just smells medicinal. 10 p.m. 11 p.m. I fell asleep on the couch. The TV was still on, some old black and white movie I didn't recognize. I was startled awake by my phone ringing. The house was dark. The TV was just static. I scrambled for the phone. The screen said Mark. The time said 3:04 a.m. I let it ring 3 times. I had to get my voice right. I took a deep breath and answered, making my voice groggy, sleepy. Hello? I said. Mark? What's wrong? Are you okay? All I heard was screaming. Not words. Just a high-pitched, terrified scream. And then a garbled, "Brenda! Oh my God! Help! Help me! Mark, slow down. What is it? Where are you? I thought you were driving home." I'm at the hospital," he shrieked. "Mercy Hospital, outside Columbus. You have to come." "Oh God, it burns." I sat up. I was wide awake now. I played the part. The hospital? What happened? Did you get in an accident? Are you hurt? No. I don't know. It's. Brenda, it burns. It burns everywhere. What burns, Mark? I don't understand. I don't know. I think I'm having an allergic reaction. A chemical burn. And, Brenda. His voice dropped to a terrified whisper. Brenda, I'm green. What? What do you mean, you're green? I'm green. Like, green. Like the Hulk. My skin, it's green. And Janine is too. She's here too. We were. He'd done it. He'd admitted it. Janine? I said, injecting just the right amount of sleepy confusion into my voice. What's Janine doing with you? At 3 a.m.? At a hospital? I thought she was in Cleveland. There was a second of pure, unadulterated silence on the other end of the line. Just for a second. Then the panic took over again. Just come. Please. The doctors, they don't know what it is. They keep asking questions. Just get here. Please, Brenda. Okay, I'm getting my keys. I'm on my way. I hung up the phone. I sat there in the dark living room for a full minute. The static from the TV hummed. And then, I started to laugh. A real, deep, belly laugh. It was the best I'd felt in days. It was an hour's drive to that hospital. I took my time. I did not speed. I stopped at the all-night gas station. I filled my tank. I went inside. I bought a large coffee, black, and a blueberry muffin. I was in no hurry. I pulled into the Mercy Hospital ER parking lot at almost 5 a.m. The sky was just starting to turn gray. I walked in. The waiting room was mostly empty, just a few people sleeping in chairs. I went to the main desk. The nurse behind the glass looked like she'd been through a war. "Hi," I said, politely. "I'm here for my husband, Mark. I'm not sure his last name." "Mark Miller." The nurse looked up, her eyes red with exhaustion. She sighed. "The green one?" "I'm sorry?" "The green man," she said, tapping on her computer. "Yeah, he's back in treatment room 3. She squinted at the screen. "His sister-in-law is in room 4. Go on back." She gave me a look. "I've been a nurse for 20 years and I've seen it all, but this is a new one, look." I pushed through the double doors. And I saw him. He was sitting on an exam table. He was wearing nothing but a paper gown, open in the back. And he was green. I'm not talking about a pale, sickly green. I'm talking about a vibrant, electric, Patrick stay on acid green. His face, his neck, his arms, his hands, his chest. Green. He was trying to explain something to a very tired-looking doctor who was holding a clipboard. "Mark?" I said. He turned. The look on his face. "Oh, I will treasure that look until I die. It was a cocktail of terror and guilt and pure, pants-wetting humiliation. "Brenda," he croaked. "Thank God. Tell them. Tell them." "I don't know." And then I heard it. A horrible, wailing sob from the next curtain over. I pushed past the curtain into room 4. There was Janine. She was worse. Her bottle blonde hair, was streaked with green, like some kind of punk rock nightmare. Her face was a mess of green dye and tears. She was clawing at her skin. "It burns. It burns," she was screaming at a different nurse. She looked up and saw me. "Brenda," she wailed. "Thank God. You have to help us. Someone did this to us." It was the. I put my hand to my mouth. I widened my eyes. I summoned every bit of acting ability I had. "Oh my God," I whispered. "Janine? Mark? What were you two doing to get green?" The doctor turned to me, grateful for a sane person. "Ma'am, do you know if they were exposed to any industrial chemicals? We've tried scrubbing. This dye, it's not coming off. And the irritation is severe. It's some kind of capsaicin concentrate." "Capsaicin?" I asked, innocently. "Like, from hot peppers?" "Exactly. Like from the hottest peppers in the world," the doctor said. I looked at Mark. I looked at Janine. They were both staring at me. Their green-stained mouths were open. The realization was dawning. I have no idea," I said to the doctor, shaking my head in confusion. I thought he was at a conference. And I thought she was in Cleveland. I turned back to them. My voice was pure, sweet poison. "This is so strange. The two of you, together, in the middle of the night, covered in pepper, lube?" Janine's mouth fell open. Mark just closed his eyes. Checkmate. They couldn't go home. The doctors, baffled and suspicious, insisted on keeping them for observation, mostly to manage the chemical burns on their most sensitive areas. They were a spectacle. Nurses kept walking by the rooms, checking vitals, trying not to stare. Doctors were bringing in medical students as a teaching case. But one person couldn't resist. A young orderly, pushing a cart of linens. He slowed down as he passed their rooms, which were side by side. His phone was out. I saw him. A quick click. By the time I got home at 8 a.m., showered, and made a fresh pot of coffee, it had already started. My friend, Sarah, from my painting class, texted me. "Brenda, are you okay? I just saw the craziest picture on Facebook. It looks like Mark? And, is that Janine? And they're green?" I logged on. Oh, it was beautiful. Our town isn't huge. The picture had been posted in the Springfield Community Watch group. Anyone know what happened at Mercy Hospital last night? 2 people came in covered in green paint. Looked like a Smurf movie gone wrong. And then, the comments. "That's not a Smurf. That's Mark Miller from the insurance office. Wait, isn't that Janine? Brenda's sister? What were they doing together at 3 a.m.? I hear it was some kind of chemical spill at that motel off I-71. I hear it was a sex thing gone wrong. My cousin is a nurse there. She said they couldn't wash it off. By noon, they had a name. It was all over town. The Green Lovers." I sat back, sipping my coffee, and I watched. I watched the town tear them apart. I didn't have to lift a finger. I didn't have to spread a rumor. They had humiliated me in private, in the dark. I had simply given them the tools to humiliate themselves in public. under the brightest, most fluorescent lights. You can imagine the scene, can't you? My husband and my sister, both of them bright green, not with envy but with my own special formula, becoming the laughingstock of the entire town. This was the moment my revenge truly started to pay off. If you are still listening to this, please help me out by liking this video and commenting the number 1 below, so I know you are amazing, and I understand that you're with me on this journey. Your support is a huge encouragement and cheers me on. Please comment the number 1 so I can recognize you, and now, listen as I tell you the rest of my story. Mark was discharged 2 days later. He had to sign himself out against medical advice. He was still green. Not the vibrant green. It had faded to a sickly, patchy, yellow green. Like a diseased avocado. He looked awful. He must have taken an Uber, because I'd left him stranded. He used his emergency key to let himself into the house. I was in the kitchen, making a salad. Chopping cucumbers. The thwack 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 of the knife on the cutting board was the only sound. "Brenda," he said. His voice was hoarse. "Mark," I said. I didn't look up. "You're getting green on the floor." "I can't believe you did this," he whispered. "Did what?" I said, moving on to the tomatoes. "Make a salad?" "I am. It's very good." "You know what you did?" His voice cracked. You poisoned us. You could have blinded us. You could have killed us." "Oh, please." I finally looked up, holding the knife. It was pharmaceutical grade. Non-toxic, just irritating. "I'm a professional, Mark. If I'd wanted to kill you, you'd be dead. And it would be listed as natural causes. Now, are you going to stand there dripping, or are you going to get out?" "It was Janine," he blurted out. The coward. She came on to me. She was relentless. After her last breakup. She was lonely. I was weak. I made a mistake. "A mistake?" I asked, putting the knife down. "Was it a mistake when you put her rent, my inheritance money, on our credit card? Was it a mistake when you lied about the Marriott? Was it a mistake when you sat in that motel room and called me predictable and a mother?" His face went from green to a pale, whitish green. He looked like he was going to be sick. How did you know that?" "You're not the only one who can use technology, Mark." I pulled out my phone. I hit play on the audio file I'd saved. His voice filled the kitchen. She's not exciting like you, Janine. You're spontaneous. You're fun. I've never seen a man crumble so fast." He actually sank to his knees. Right there on my clean kitchen floor. You heard," he sobbed. "I heard everything. Every word. Every laugh. Every insult. So don't you dare come in here and blame my sister. You were both in it together. You're both disgusting. Now, I've packed a bag for you. It's on the front porch. It has all your green-stained clothes in it. Brenda, please," he was crying now. Real tears. "I have nowhere to go. My job, they saw the pictures. They saw the Facebook posts. They suspended me pending an investigation. My salary. I have nothing. Please." "That sounds like a you problem, Mark. Not a me problem. Get out of my house." He left. But the drama wasn't over. Of course it wasn't. The next day, she showed up. Janine. She was also a lovely shade of pond scum green. She was wearing a hoodie and sunglasses, like some kind of fugitive. She didn't knock. She just barged in, using the key I'd given her years ago. You ruined my life, she shrieked. The sunglasses were off. Her eyes were red and puffy. Wow, I said, looking up from the sofa. I was reading a book. That's a new look for you. Is that Envy by Clairol? This isn't funny. I can't go anywhere. People are pointing at me. They're calling me the Green Goblin. Shrek's mistress. I lost my job. You had a job? I asked, turning a page. Oh, that's right. The one at the front desk of the dentist's office. The one I helped you get. You're welcome. How could you do this to your own sister? She cried. We're family. That's when I snapped. All the cold, calculating calm vanished. I threw the book on the floor. Family? I stood up. You want to talk about family, Janine? Family doesn't sleep with their sister's husband of 22 years. Family doesn't steal their sister's inheritance money. Family doesn't sit in a cheap motel room and laugh about how boring and predictable their sister is. You are not my family. Not anymore. You're kicking me out of the family, she whimpered, her face crumbling. No, I said, walking to the counter and picking up my phone. I'm just making it official. I dialed. Hi, Mom? Hi, Dad? Yes, I'm fine. I'm so glad I caught you both. But I have something I need to tell you. It's about Janine. And Mark. You might want to sit down. And yes, you should probably log onto Facebook. I'll wait. Janine's face was a mask of pure horror. You told them? You told them? I told them to look at the Springfield Community Watch page, I said. The rest, I'm sure, will explain itself. Now get out of my house. And leave the key. She just stared at me. She threw the key on the table. Then she turned and ran out of my house. The call with my parents after that was hard. That was the hardest part. My mom cried. My dad was just silent. That's a pain that the green dye couldn't fix. The very next day, I called a lawyer. The best divorce lawyer in town. A woman named Sarah. A real shark. I sat in her plush, expensive office. She had a wall of awards behind her. So, Brenda, she said, leaning forward. Tell me what we're working with. Infidelity is messy. And this is a no-fault state, so him cheating doesn't really change the bottom line. Oh, it's messy, I agreed. And I laid it all out. I showed her the bank statements. The withdrawals for rent. The charge for the Hampton Suites on our joint account. I showed her the GPS data. The printout of his car at the motel, not the conference. I showed her the text messages I'd forwarded to myself. And then, I played her the audio recording. Her eyes got wider and wider. When she heard the part about my inheritance money, she actually gasped. You recorded them? She whispered. In a hotel room I rented, yes. Is that admissible in court? Probably not, she said, a slow smile spreading across her face. But, we're not going to need it. Why not? She spun her laptop monitor around. She was on Facebook. Because of this, she said, pointing to the green lover's picture, which had now been shared 4,000 times. As I said, this is a no-fault state. But in the court of public opinion? And as leverage to make him sign anything we put in front of him? This is beautiful. You're an artist, Brenda. Mark didn't fight me. He couldn't. He had no money for a lawyer of his own. His suspension from his high-paying insurance job had become permanent. Apparently, no one wants a claims adjuster who is famous for being a green, adulterous, idiotic fool. The settlement was simple. I kept the house. I kept the savings. I kept my 401k. I kept the sensible sedan. He kept his gym bag, his green-stained clothes, and his credit card debt. The divorce was finalized in record time. The first few weeks after he left, they were quiet. Too quiet. The house felt huge and empty. I had to change the locks. I called a local locksmith, a nice man named Gary. He came over, drilled out the old locks, and gave me a new set of shiny brass keys. "There you go, ma'am," he said. Safe and sound. That one simple act, it felt like the first real step. Then I had to deal with his things. I had only packed a bag. The rest of his life was still in my closet, in the garage. I didn't cry. I got methodical. I ordered boxes from Amazon. I spent a whole weekend packing. His golf clubs. His ugly sweaters. His fantasy football trophies. I put everything in the garage. I called Goodwill. They came with a big truck. The young man who took the boxes said, "This is a huge donation, ma'am." "Thank you." "You're welcome," I said. And watching that truck drive away, that felt better than the green dye. That felt like freedom. 6 months passed. Winter came and melted. The town, mostly, stopped talking about it. But every now and then, someone would come into the pharmacy to pick up a prescription and make a joke about not feeling green, and we'd share a quiet laugh. I started to live. I redecorated the house. I painted my bedroom a nice, calm, peaceful blue. I threw out that old pot roast pan. I bought a new, bright red Le Creuset. I finally joined that painting class Sarah was always bugging me about. I was terrible. My first painting was a lopsided bowl of fruit. My apples looked like tomatoes. But I met people. I met Marge, a retired schoolteacher who told the dirtiest jokes I'd ever heard. We'd get coffee after class. We never, not once, talked about Mark. We talked about art and our gardens and the best place to get a good pastry. A year after the divorce, on what would have been our 23rd anniversary, I felt a pang. Not of missing him, but of time. 22 years was a long time. We'd always talked about going to Maine. Seeing the lighthouses in the fall. He always said it was too expensive or bad timing, or that his promotion was just around the corner and we had to wait. I went home. I opened my laptop. I booked a flight. I rented a small cottage by the water, just for me. I spent a week driving up the coast. I ate lobster. By myself. With my hands. I got butter everywhere. I sat on a cold, rocky beach, wrapped in a blanket, and watched the ocean. And I laughed. That was 2 years ago. My pharmacy? It's booming. I hired a new technician, a bright young woman from the university. I'm teaching her how to compound. I adopted a dog. I know, it's a cliché. The divorced woman and her dog. But I don't care. He's a scruffy-looking terrier mix I got from the shelter. I named him Scout. He's not predictable. He chews on my shoes. He barks at the mailman. And he sleeps at the foot of my bed every single night. I still hear things. You always do in a small town. Mark, he lost the warehouse job. I heard he's in another state now, Indiana, I think. Living with some cousin. Someone said they saw him, and that the green tint is still faintly visible around his fingernails and in his cuticles. Like a permanent, sickly stain. Janine? I heard, she's in Florida. She sent a Christmas card to Mom last year. Just a card. No note. My mom, she didn't know what to do with it. She still has it, in a drawer. We're healing, my parents and I. It's slow. That wound, that's the one that still hurts. The family part. One night, I was getting ready for bed. I had just washed my face. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. Brenda. It's Mark. I know you'll probably delete this. But I just want to say I'm sorry. For everything. I was a fool. You were right. You were never boring. You were just good. And I was. I was green. I looked at the message. I was green. Was that a joke? I read it again. And I did something I hadn't done in years. I laughed. A real, genuine, out-loud laugh. Then I blocked the number and deleted the message. Some people say the best revenge is living well. I say, why not do both? They wanted me to be predictable. They wanted me to be boring. They called me the boss and mother. They underestimated me. They forgot I was a scientist. But more than that, they forgot I was strong. I gave them exactly what they deserved. A story to tell. A performance. And a color scheme they will never, ever forget. And honestly, I haven't lost a minute of sleep over it. Thank you for listening to my story. It's still a lot, even now. But telling it, saying it all out loud, it feels good. It feels like closure. If you've ever been through anything like this, or if you just stuck around to the end because you wanted to hear what happened, I'd be so grateful if you'd leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Did I go too far? Or not far enough? Your stories, and just knowing you're out there listening, it means the world to me. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time. And so, this story leaves us with profound lessons about resilience, self-worth, and the strength to reclaim one's life after betrayal. It reminds us that even in the face of deep pain and humiliation, we have the power to rise above, to turn devastation into determination, and to craft a future that reflects our true value. Brenda's journey was not just about revenge, it was a declaration of her strength, her intelligence, and her ability to rebuild a life she deserved. At its core, this story teaches us that self-respect is non-negotiable. When others underestimate or betray us, we must remember our worth and refuse to let their actions define us. Brenda's actions, though unconventional, highlight the importance of standing up for oneself, of refusing to be a victim, and of finding closure in a way that empowers rather than destroys. What about you? Have you ever overcome a betrayal or hardship that made you stronger? Share your thoughts below or comment good if this lesson resonates with you. Let's inspire each other to embrace our strength and live boldly.